Have you ever been startled awake by the sound of your own snoring, only to shrug it off as a small annoyance? If you're over 65, it's tempting to see snoring as just another part of getting older, like a few more laugh lines or some extra stiffness in the morning. Yet more and more health professionals are sounding an alarm bell. Snoring isn't always harmless, and it can interfere with your respiratory health in ways you might not expect. Imagine waking up each day with the energy of someone 10 years younger, feeling confident that your lungs are getting the oxygen they need through the night. That's why paying attention to snoring is so crucial. Think about it. Every breath we take is a reminder of life's precious rhythms. But when snoring disrupts that steady flow of oxygen, our bodies pay a price over time, especially if we already have age-related changes in lung capacity. One of the biggest challenges many seniors face is distinguishing between normal age-related changes and potential warning signs. It's easy to assume you just have to put up with anything that comes your way after 65. But there's a growing body of evidence suggesting that snoring, especially if it's frequent or loud, can indicate reduced airflow in the upper airway. That reduction in airflow doesn't just lead to a bad night's sleep. It can create stress on the lungs and heart and lead to a cascade of complications from interrupted rest to decreased immune function. If you've ever found yourself feeling tired or slightly dizzy in the morning or more short of breath throughout the day, it might be related to something as seemingly simple as chronic snoring. By bringing awareness to this issue, you open the door to solutions that can substantially improve your well-being. Paying closer attention to your nighttime breathing habits can help you breathe more freely, maintain better lung function, and enjoy the simple pleasures that come from getting restful sleep. After all, restful sleep supports everything from sharper mental clarity to more stable moods. Picture yourself being able to walk with more energy, chat with friends without feeling winded, and wake up without that foggy, groggy sensation. These are the kinds of transformations that become possible when you understand and address chronic snoring. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore misconceptions about why snoring is not just noise. We'll unpack overlooked reasons why it's more dangerous after age 65. We'll dive into how small lifestyle tweaks, from adjusting your sleeping posture to making changes in your daily routine, can significantly reduce snoring's impact on your lungs. Ultimately, you'll see there are ways to reclaim your nights and bolster your lung health without resorting to drastic measures. My perspective comes from years of focusing on preventive care for older adults, where I've seen firsthand how little shifts in daily habits can produce meaningful health improvements over time. While I'm not here to diagnose or treat any specific condition, I am here to share insights from pulmonology experts and my own observations in senior care settings, all so you can make informed decisions about your well-being. As you listen, I encourage you to reflect on any personal experiences you've had with snoring, whether it's your own or someone else's in your home, and how it affects your sense of energy, alertness, and overall mood. If at any point something resonates with you, consider jotting it down or sharing it with a friend. It's often in conversation with others that we find the motivation to act. And trust me, once you take some small steps to reduce or even eliminate that nighttime noise, you may be amazed by how much better you feel. So let's start unraveling the mystery around why snoring is more than a simple annoyance. It could be the hidden culprit behind some of the lung issues you've been chalking up to just getting older. By the end, you'll know exactly how to protect yourself and move forward with a renewed sense of confidence. It's common for seniors to believe snoring is harmless. You might have heard people say, "A little snoring never hurt anyone," but that notion can be misleading. Many older adults think that loud breathing at night is part of aging, especially if they've done it for years without immediate consequences. The truth is, frequent snoring can sometimes be an indication that there's turbulence in your airway. That's the gentle rattle of flesh vibrating against the back of your throat, typically because air isn't flowing as smoothly as it should. For a lot of younger adults, snoring might be nothing more than an annoyance for a bed partner. But after 65, our muscles tend to lose some tone and elasticity. The tissues in your throat can become looser, which makes the vibrations louder and more frequent. Underlying conditions like high blood pressure or a history of smoking can also magnify these effects. but many seniors don't realize how much their overall respiratory function can suffer. Imagine Roy, who just turned 70 and has been snoring like a bear since his 50s. Because he never had serious breathing issues, he brushed off any concerns. Recently, Roy noticed he was getting winded walking around his block, a route he used to handle without a second thought. At first, he blamed it on aging. Then he mentioned it offhandedly to a friend who knew a bit about lung health, and the friend suggested Roy look into whether his snoring might be affecting his oxygen levels at night. Roy was skeptical. How could something that happens while he's asleep affect him in the daytime? But after trying a few changes, like adjusting his pillow height and learning a simple nighttime breathing exercise, he found his snoring diminished, and surprisingly, his daytime energy improved. Sometimes the biggest misconception is thinking nighttime symptoms don't carry over into daylight hours. Research in older adults increasingly shows that disrupted sleep can affect everything from blood pressure to immune function. When you're snoring heavily, you may not be getting the deep, quality sleep your body needs to repair itself. This is even more critical after 65 because our immune systems aren't as robust as they used to be, and every bit of restorative sleep matters. That's why it's crucial to evaluate your nighttime patterns, not just your diet or exercise regimen, when you think about maintaining lung strength. One practical approach is to record your snoring patterns. These days, there are phone apps and even simple tape recorders that can capture what's happening while you sleep. If you notice long pauses or gasping, that's your cue to speak with a healthcare provider. Even if it's just snoring, addressing it might help you prevent respiratory complications down the line. Reducing snoring often brings the emotional benefit of renewed confidence. Think about how it feels to wake up ready to take on the day, rather than dragging yourself out of bed. When Roy managed to cut back on his snoring, he rediscovered a sense of enthusiasm for his morning walks. He also felt prouder knowing he was taking an active role in his health. That sense of empowerment is something many people don't anticipate. They might only be focusing on the physical irritation of snoring, not the emotional uplift that comes from tackling a lingering issue. If you're not sure whether you or a loved one should worry, try this self-check. Do you wake up feeling tired, have a dry throat, or notice daytime drowsiness that's more than a passing slump? If so, it's worth looking into. Keep in mind that not every case of snoring is serious, but it's one of those symptoms you shouldn't dismiss automatically, especially as you get older. Much of the popular wisdom holds that snoring is just noise. So many seniors think there's little reason to try altering decades-long habits. Yet the truth is, anything that interferes with consistent, high-quality breathing can put extra stress on your lungs. If that stress is mild at first, it might go unnoticed. But as it accumulates, you may find yourself dealing with chest tightness, faster breathing, or even more frequent colds and respiratory infections. The good news is that addressing snoring can be surprisingly straightforward for many. Simple lifestyle shifts, like sleeping on your side instead of your back, can make a real difference. Some people also find gentle throat exercises or using specially designed pillows reduce nighttime congestion. It's all about understanding that your throat and nasal passages are part of your respiratory system. If you can keep them open, you give your lungs a better shot at doing their job. Speaking of open airways, another huge misconception is that you can't change how you breathe while sleeping. Of course, you can't consciously control every moment of your nighttime breathing, but you can shape the conditions that influence it. You might be surprised to learn how much your throat posture, nasal passages, and even your jaw alignment affect airflow. Judy, who is 72, used to think any kind of sleep hack was for younger folks. She had resigned herself to living with an endlessly snoring spouse and had started snoring herself. After all, she'd made it this far in life. Why start tinkering with sleep now? She decided to experiment one night by propping up her upper body with an extra pillow, not really expecting much. To her amazement, she slept more quietly and woke up without the usual dryness in her throat. She found that changing her sleeping posture worked so well that she began exploring more options. A humidifier to keep her throat from drying out, nasal strips to gently widen her nasal passages, and a brief relaxation routine before bed. The science behind these changes is simple enough. When you align your head and neck properly, you reduce the chance of your tongue or throat tissues blocking airflow. This is especially helpful if you have age-related muscle relaxation in the throat. By giving your body some structural support, you're basically preventing the vibration effect that leads to snoring. Think of it like properly tuning an instrument so you don't get unpleasant squeaks. Studies have indicated that seniors who adopt these methods often report less daytime drowsiness and better oxygen saturation during sleep. On an emotional level, Judy felt more in control of her nights and saw an uptick in her daytime energy. She noted that she began looking forward to gardening again, an activity she'd been putting off because she was perpetually tired. It's fascinating how resolving something as small as how you position yourself to rest can make you feel more vibrant and motivated when you're active. In addition, it's worth noting that hydration and diet can play supporting roles in reducing snoring. Dry airways and nasal passages tend to vibrate more, so drinking water consistently throughout the day, rather than gulping it all at once, can help. Avoiding heavy meals or alcohol close to bedtime also reduces the likelihood of airway relaxation that leads to snoring. While these steps might sound minor, they can make a significant difference, especially when practiced together. For seniors, any improvement in sleep quality can pay off in enhanced immunity and reduced inflammation. You may even find your mood lifting because better sleep often translates to fewer fluctuations in hormones that impact how you feel emotionally. If you're resistant to trying multiple lifestyle tweaks at once, like Judy was, start small. Pick one thing, like raising your upper body with a wedge pillow, and see how it goes. Incremental improvements often build on each other, giving you the confidence to add more changes gradually. It's a process that respects your pace while still opening up possibilities for better lung health. Another widespread belief is that if snoring doesn't wake you up, it's probably not a big deal. In reality, many people don't realize that snoring can lead to tiny, almost imperceptible awakenings or arousals throughout the night. Each time your airway is partially blocked, your body may jolt you into a lighter stage of sleep, even if you don't fully awaken. Over time, these micro-awakenings add up, preventing you from reaching the deeper stages of slumber that are vital for respiratory recovery and overall restoration. This phenomenon is even more critical for seniors because the natural architecture of our sleep changes with age, making it harder to achieve and maintain that restorative deep sleep. You might be in bed for the recommended 7 or 8 hours, but you still feel exhausted in the morning because your sleep quality just isn't there. Take George, 69, who prided himself on sleeping a solid 8 hours a night. Whenever his wife complained about his snoring, he'd laugh it off. "I feel fine," he'd say, and from the outside looking in, he did seem okay. But gradually he started noticing lapses in memory and struggled more with everyday tasks like balancing the checkbook. He chalked it up to normal aging at first. It wasn't until he tried wearing a simple snore-reducing chin strap that he realized the difference. Suddenly, he woke up feeling as though he'd actually slept. He had more clarity, and interestingly, he even felt less anxious. It's not that the chin strap was a cure-all, but it helped keep his jaw in a position that prevented airway collapse. George learned that while he thought he was getting plenty of sleep, poor quality rest can mimic some of the cognitive and emotional challenges people usually associate with aging. Addressing his snoring allowed him to claim back a sharper mind and a calmer mood. These nighttime arousals can also impact lung health in subtle but important ways. When you're constantly being nudged out of deeper sleep, your body never fully relaxes into the rhythmic breathing patterns that help stabilize oxygen and carbon dioxide levels. Over time, that can create a mild but chronic stress on your respiratory system. For seniors who might already be dealing with reduced lung capacity, this stress compounds. Think of it like a slow leak in a tire. 1 or 2 leaks might not flatten it right away, but eventually you notice the tire has trouble holding air. That's why even if you feel fine, it's important to see snoring as more than background noise. One practical tip is to check in with yourself during the day. Do you experience unexpected moments of fatigue, irritability, or shortness of breath after only mild exertion? If yes, it's a good idea to evaluate your sleeping patterns more closely. Many seniors might benefit from a sleep study, but that's something to discuss with a healthcare professional. Overcoming this challenge can lead to both physical and emotional gains. Physically, you'll likely notice steadier breathing, less daytime drowsiness, and possibly fewer aches and pains as your body recovers better overnight. Emotionally, you might find yourself feeling more resilient and less prone to mood swings. George, for instance, found that addressing his snoring positively impacted his relationship with his wife because he was less irritable and more eager to engage in shared hobbies. A well-rested mind is often a kinder, more patient mind, and that alone can make every day brighter. A particularly misunderstood aspect of snoring in older adults is its link to changes in weight and muscle tone. Many seniors assume that their weight won't fluctuate much after a certain age, or that if it does, it's unrelated to issues like snoring. However, carrying even a few extra pounds around your midsection or neck can influence how easily air flows in and out of your lungs. This is especially true because muscle mass tends to decline with age, and the composition of our tissues changes. Fat can accumulate in areas that make breathing at night more difficult. In some cases, chronic snoring can be tied to a broader pattern of reduced activity levels, because feeling tired all day often leads to skipping exercises or daily walks. Consider Linda, 66, who started to gain weight after an ankle injury limited her mobility. She was never worried about her size. She was only concerned about her ankle healing, until her husband pointed out that her snoring had become louder than ever. At first, Linda dismissed it, but her daytime fatigue became overwhelming. She lacked the energy to get through basic tasks, let alone add movement to her routine. When she finally visited a care specialist, she was surprised to learn how carrying extra weight could narrow her airway when she slept. Her care provider suggested starting with low-impact exercises like gentle chair yoga and simple stretches to rebuild strength without putting too much stress on her ankle. Over a period of weeks, Linda noticed her snoring lessened. She lost a little weight, yes, but she also gained back muscle tone and confidence. Although it didn't disappear overnight, the gradual improvement in her lung capacity and nighttime breathing made a tangible difference in her energy. The emotional side of this process is just as important. Seniors often face discouragement when dealing with multiple health concerns. An injury here, a medication change there. It's easy to feel overwhelmed or resigned, but little by little, when you see positive shifts, like a quieter night's sleep or slightly more stamina during the day, it can spark hope. That sense of possibility can motivate you to keep going. Plus, when you address weight and muscle tone in tandem with your snoring, you're really tackling a core aspect of healthy aging. You're setting yourself up for better balance, reduced risk of falls, and increased independence. To achieve these improvements, it helps to think holistically. How can you move a bit more today than you did yesterday? Are there healthy foods you can incorporate, like more lean proteins and leafy greens, to support muscle repair? If you're not able to stand comfortably, can you do seated leg lifts or arm exercises? Even small changes in muscle tone around the neck and chest can ease nighttime breathing. And remember, it's never about perfection. The journey is about discovering small, manageable shifts that honor your body's current limitations while gently encouraging improvements. You might also find it helpful to track your progress. Some seniors like to keep a simple journal, noting how they feel in the morning and any activities they did the day before. Over time, you can start to identify which routines or dietary choices seem to lessen your snoring and energize your day. If you've been listening and realize you might need more guidance, now is a great moment to pause and consider reaching out to a professional, maybe a physical therapist or a nutrition counselor, to get a tailored plan. Community centers often have senior-friendly exercise classes, and many people find it motivating to work out with a group of peers. If that's not your style, consider following gentle exercise videos at home. The key is to focus on consistent efforts, not quick fixes. It's the cumulative effect of these daily choices that can dramatically improve your lung health and consequently reduce snoring. It's also important to address the emotional baggage that can come with snoring. Some people feel embarrassed or irritated by comments from family members. Others become anxious about traveling or sharing a room because of the noise. That sense of embarrassment or worry can deter you from seeking help. If you find yourself in that situation, remind yourself that you're far from alone. Many seniors go through this. Being proactive about your health is an act of self-care, not a sign of weakness. Reaching out can open doors to solutions you never realized existed. Sometimes the relief of simply talking about it is enough to reduce the stress that might be making your nighttime breathing worse. A final but crucial misconception revolves around the idea that snoring's only risk is disturbing someone else. In reality, the biggest risk is often to yourself, especially if the snoring is part of a pattern that includes frequent awakenings, morning headaches, or consistent fatigue. Those can be red flags for sleep apnea, a more serious condition in which breathing repeatedly stops and starts during sleep. Seniors can be particularly vulnerable, as untreated sleep apnea can put added strain on the heart and lungs. Even if you suspect your snoring might be mild, it's good to be aware that snoring in later life isn't always just snoring. It could be a clue that your body is struggling for breath in ways you aren't consciously aware of. The earlier you catch these issues, the easier it is to address them with minimal intervention. Rita, who is 74, always considered herself a healthy person. She ate well, walked regularly, and had only mild health complaints. But when her daughter stayed over for a week, she was shocked to learn that Rita's snoring would stop for several seconds, followed by a loud gasp. Rita had no idea. She rarely felt fully rested, but she wrote it off as normal aging. Once her daughter pointed it out, Rita made an appointment with a healthcare provider. They recommended further evaluation to see whether she might be experiencing sleep apnea. The discovery was life-changing because once Rita had a clear diagnosis, she could use therapies designed to keep her airway open at night, such as a special sleep mask. She was hesitant at first, but the improvement in her energy levels was almost immediate. It wasn't a miracle cure, but it gave her the boost she needed to keep up with her grandkids and pursue her love of painting without feeling exhausted. Even if your snoring isn't that severe, awareness is key. Feeling informed and prepared helps you notice early signs of breathing difficulties before they escalate. It's like catching a leak in your roof early. Better to patch it up now than deal with water damage later. Recognizing the link between nighttime snoring and lung health empowers you to take steps that can preserve not only your sleep quality, but your independence in the long run. After all, a healthy pair of lungs supports everything from enjoying a walk around your neighborhood to having the stamina to garden, dance, or play with grandchildren. If you're wondering where to begin, start with an open conversation. Talk to a family member or friend who's heard you snore, or record yourself to confirm whether it's an occasional nuisance or a nightly habit. Check in with your healthcare provider about any daytime sleepiness or breathing changes you've noticed. Even if you feel a bit self-conscious, remember that discussing these issues is far more common than you think. You may be surprised how much support and practical advice is out there, from simple devices to more structured interventions. The truth is, no matter your age, improved sleep is possible, and that improvement can ripple out in ways you'd never expect, from sharper thinking to a steadier mood and beyond. All of this brings us to a crucial moment of reflection. If you've been following along, you now know snoring isn't something to dismiss. It may be a warning sign that your lungs aren't getting the smooth, uninterrupted airflow they need to keep you strong, active, and ready for life's daily joys. These insights don't just matter for the sake of comfort or preventing your spouse from nudging you awake. They matter because good lung function is central to longevity and vitality. Perhaps you've discovered that snoring can signal other conditions, that weight and muscle tone play a role, or that the quality of sleep you're getting is more important than the quantity. Whatever stood out to you, know that each small change you make can add up to meaningful results. There's no need to panic, but there is a reason to take action sooner rather than later. The longer snoring goes unchecked, the more it can chip away at your respiratory health. Yet you have a real opportunity right now to turn the tide. Picture how much more you could enjoy life if you slept soundly and breathed freely throughout the night. Imagine waking up with the energy to tackle your favorite hobbies, or simply feeling comfortable sitting in your favorite chair without that nagging sense of fatigue. These are changes you can begin putting into place starting tonight. Maybe it's trying out a new pillow to help align your neck, doing a quick set of easy stretches before bed, or speaking with a professional about advanced options if you suspect something more serious like sleep apnea. I invite you to take a step, any step, based on what you've learned. If the idea of changing your sleep routine feels like too much at once, start with one adjustment. Raise the head of your bed slightly. Incorporate a short period of deep breathing exercises before turning in. If you're feeling motivated, explore senior-friendly exercise programs Or consult with a nutrition expert to see how you can optimize your weight and muscle tone for better breathing. And if you're ready to go even deeper, you could talk with a pulmonary specialist who understands the nuances of lung health in older adults. These layers of engagement let you decide what feels right for you. You don't have to do everything. You just have to do something. While you're at it, consider sharing this message with someone you care about. Another friend who might be wrestling with nighttime snoring, or a family member concerned about your well-being. Sometimes the motivation to stick with a new habit grows stronger when you have a companion on the journey. You might even find that by helping someone else, you deepen your own commitment to a healthier, more energetic life. As you move forward, keep in mind that you're not battling this alone. Many older adults have wrestled with snoring and come out stronger on the other side. You can tap into the wisdom of peers, healthcare professionals, and community resources. If you felt frustrated or resigned, let this serve as a reminder that your choices still matter. You have both the experience of a lifetime and the opportunity to shape your future well-being. This isn't about forcing your body to do something unnatural. It's about fine-tuning what's already there: your breath, your lungs, your capacity for renewal. Embrace this moment as a turning point. Each time you commit to a little change, you're making an investment in your own vitality. And it all starts with acknowledging that snoring after 65 is a warning you can't afford to ignore. So go ahead. Choose one action, one conversation, or one new habit to adopt tonight. You deserve peaceful, restorative sleep, and your lungs will thank you for it every day. By taking these steps, you're not just fighting snoring, you're enhancing your quality of life. So here's to deeper breathing, quieter nights, and the renewed energy to live fully in the years ahead.